bunch of people down there.
Probably a better choice. Okay, I'm ready to roll when you guys are.
Looking back at the film, kind of what were your takeaways from Saturday?
Really what I thought. I think I might have said this, but when you play a good team and you play on the road and you play in a good college football environment, you have to capitalize on your opportunities. And we didn't do that. We left some points on the board in the first half. It was very similar to what it was like when I watched the Utah video. I kept watching and where we had made mistakes and made mistakes and made mistakes and made mistakes and made mistakes, and I looked up and there's like, we're only down 3. It's like, we had the ball. At one time, I can't remember for sure, but we had the ball, I think, down 1 maybe on the 30 going in. And there's like 6 minutes to go in the first half. Well, so you're in great shape. And that's exactly what happened. We didn't capitalize on those opportunities. And then when you don't, at times, not always, but sometimes it can snowball on you in the latter part of the game. Then it starts to add up really quick. And that's really what happened in the game.
Was there a common theme when you guys get into K-State territory, offensive struggles? Was there a common theme, or is it just one thing?
In what territory?
In K-State territory, whenever you guys are going in. You move the ball pretty well, but
not really. One time we ran a pitch play and got hit for -2, kind of set us back on the chains. And then the next play they covered up good, and then Bowman could have hit a different receiver that would have helped on that series. One time we snapped the ball on the ground. So it really wasn't anything that would be worth noting that was glaring.
With Bowman in particular, are there things that you're noticing, particularly the last 2 weeks when he's had some struggles, that maybe he's gotten away from?
There's things that we'll coach him on. I'll be really honest with you. So there was 4 or 5 plays that would have made the general public look and say he played really bad, when the other 55 plays he played good. And that's what happens when you play that position. Like when you make glaring decisions that people are like, why did that happen? At crucial times, that can happen. And that's really, when I graded him Sunday or Saturday night, that's what I saw. And then when I watched it again Sunday with the staff, that pretty much confirmed what I saw.
Mike, you kind of just touched on it right now, but you've talked about it in the past, but how much more weight does manning the quarterback position hold in terms of fan reception in contrast to the others?
Well, it's always that way, right? So the head coach and the quarterback take a lot, and good or bad. I think Bowman is handling this very well, and his play in this game was much better than his play against Utah. So there's not even a comparison. There was 4 or 5 plays that were glaring that made it look really bad. In one of them ended up being an interception. But he's older and more mature. So, I saw him yesterday, and I think he's fine. I really believe that. And then, of course, with me, I don't care. I do what I do. Nothing bothers me. So what you said is correct, but it'll always be that way.
I got a pair of questions. The first quarter was one of the best offensive quarters of the season. The run game was clicking. Ollie was picking up yards.
I would agree with that.
The RPOs were more effective. A couple of play action passes. Got the bite you want. What happens when you lose the run game? Because that seems, and that affects Allen, because now they're not respecting the run anymore.
So, it's a little bit what I alluded to. It wasn't worth going into such great detail, but when you're within a 2-score game, a lot of things are still active. And when you don't capitalize on those situations, then, for example, the drive to open the second half, we didn't capitalize on it. Or we're right back in great shape. And when you don't, against a good team that has a good environment, that can snowball on you. Now, it's not 100%. There's been a lot of games here over the last 20 years where we've rallied back even after that. But when you're in that situation, it's going to be glaring more so. when you watch teams play and you're in a situation, unless you're just more physically talented than any other team.
All right. The other half of this, you probably can't totally answer because you're not on the other team's sidelines. But do your analysts or your coaches, have they noticed adjustments to things you bring into the game plan, things you run early in a ball game, being made, and perhaps that's somebody using those tablets over there saying, hey, this is what they're doing, here's the adjustment, or do you even care?
Well, we do care. It's important. I think the tablets have been valuable for everybody, in my opinion. I know they have been for us. I'm sure that they're doing some of the same things. And in the big picture, in a situation, I guess, kind of to summarize what you're talking about, is that the momentum and the ebb and the flow of a game is more important than what the general public may sometimes feel like it is. So, like, when in the, I guess, third quarter or whatever, let's see, we were going this way, when Bowman threw the interception.
Right.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So that was a kind of a crucial time where the ebb and the flow went all the way over there. So it's if and buts, but when their quarterback made a bad decision, threw the ball to us, we didn't capitalize on it. So even though they made the mistake and we didn't capitalize on it, the momentum went back to them. Right. That's what happened. I mean, that's what happens in those situations. That I've done this a long time, and so those are things that we're trying. The players are trying. The coaches are trying. Those are situations you want to capitalize, and they become more evident and glaring on the road than they do at home.
So, did you feel that K-State adjusted more to what y'all were doing in the run game?
Not necessarily. No. We started to get 2 scores down. So then, I'm giving away all my good secrets for future coaches. My brain has to start working with the clock. So the clock's running. If you stay with the original game plan, the clock's going to run. Okay? So what I have to do, right, wrong, or indifferent, I have to figure out in my head how many more times we're going to get the ball and what our success ratio can be to allow us to score enough points to at least tie the game. Based on what they've done during the game, you have to say they're probably going to score again at least once because they've already scored X number of points through 41 minutes of the game. So I have to start adding that up in my head. That's how that happens. So if you just keep playing the way you're playing, we don't get to play till tomorrow. The game's going to end when the clock expires. So do you actually give yourself and your team a chance versus just fizzling out and losing by 10 points and you never had a chance because the clock just continued to run? And it's a little bit more of a factor now with the new clock rules.
When you watched the defense, did you feel, because they had a lot of big plays, I think they had 16 of 10 or more, but did you feel the problems were more schematic or more in execution?
So they do a good job with, they have the extra factor, just like the team we're playing Saturday. They're a predominantly quarterback run team. And so it's a numbers game, right? We talk about this. And we had that for years here when Spencer was here. That's what we did. Somebody has to account for the quarterback. And when you have to account for the quarterback, you have one less cutback player. It's a simple process.
Felt like at times in the second half, Kansas State had success blitzing, maybe messing up the timing of y'all's plays. Is there something, after you watched the tape, y'all could have done differently?
No, they didn't really. We hit on some blitzes. They hit on some blitzes. That didn't. There was times they blitzed us and we hurt them. So that's going to equal out for the. It wouldn't be like, coming in and saying every time they pressured us, it was a mess. So actually, we were probably 65-35 successful versus pressure. I don't know if they do that in college football. In the NFL, they do all that stuff like this quarterback's this good versus blitz or whatever. So it wasn't like that just hurt us. There's times we picked it up and hit it. Several times we hit Brennan, made a guy miss, ran down the sideline. So that really wasn't an issue. Our protection and pickup of blitzes, in my opinion, has been excellent.
So based on what you saw your defense do against the run with the numbers like you were talking about, is that kind of stress the need for fitting and all those things you got to do this week with another running quarterback?
So we were 3 or 4 fits. Should have been better, but they did the same thing. So it wasn't an outlandish number of fits. A couple times their speed got to us, and 3 times their quarterback stepped up, turned around, ran, took off. We couldn't catch him. Made a guy miss. Jeff was in good position one time, 22. Comes to balance. He's in a good athletic position, and guy does this, turns back around, goes the other way, and runs and scores a touchdown. So sometimes you have to look at that and say, hey, guy made a good play. I watch Lamar Jackson do that. I know what we're coaching. I know what we're teaching, but we also have to be fair to him and say, the guy made a good football play. Sometimes that's going to happen. We used to watch Kyler Murray do it all the time, right? What are you going to say? Got to get new players. Before you have a whole new team, he's going to do that to everybody. So there wasn't anything in those areas glaring. And when you, around here, if you lose a couple games, the good news is people want to know what's going on and what's the solution. Well, the solution is, after I graded it Saturday night and then met again with the coaches on Sunday with the staffs, we have to get better at what we do, and we'll be fine. Our concepts were just fine. They made some plays, and they called some good coaching plays.
You have an update on Nick Martin?
Should know something by, tonight or tomorrow.
What happens there if Nick's not able to go? Who are
Well, we have we have 22s there. We got 5s there. 25s practiced, hadn't played a lot. 31s played some, not a bunch. For a 4 deep to start with. Could do some things with 35 maybe. If we needed to.
You mentioned Kendall. How different would that position be for what you've been teaching him to do so far?
Some, not a lot. 20% probably, something like that. They're in the same ballpark. Let's put it that way. Now, if he would have not played down closer a lot this year, it would have been a drastic change, but not so much.
Both this year and last year, Nardo's been really good at halftime adjustments and kind of shutting teams down in the second half and doing a better job in the second half. Saturday, Kansas State was able to come out and continue to have success. Were they doing something different in the second half offensively to match the adjustments?
We stressed them. We stressed the defense offensively in the second half. If the game just, I'm repeating myself now, but just the ebb and flow of the way the first half went, okay? And I'm just giving you straight answers here. If we'd have just played like normal, we're ahead at halftime, but we didn't, okay? So then we got in the third quarter, got down +2 scores, so we started stressing the defense. So earlier when I said it alters the run game based on the time and the clock and how things go in a game, right? The clock's going to eventually run out. So the defense has to think the same way. Okay? So they have to put themselves in position to try to get quicker stops for us to get the ball back, or if we don't score, it's not going to matter. So people say, well, I'd rather lose 28-26, but then take a chance on maybe losing worse. But if you can't ever catch up, who cares? It's no fun. So you might as well do what you can. We went for 4th down on our own 30 or whatever. Why'd you do it? Well, because if we don't keep the ball and drive, we're never going to win the game. So if they score, what difference does it make? If we don't score, then it's not going to matter. So it's all part of that process that we stressed them. So you've heard me say that before. We stressed them a little bit. We stressed them a little bit, and they took advantage of it. Okay, in the Utah game, we stressed them. We didn't work with them. So our football team needs to work together. That's who we are right now. We need to be sound in special teams, try to win the hidden yards. We need to work offense and defensively together to find a way to win the games.
Kansas State went for it on 4th down, I think, a couple times on that opening drive.
Mm-hmm.
Utah went for it, I want to say, 5 times last week. Is that a trend you're noticing where teams are just playing more aggressive?
That's been going on for about 3 or 4 years now. You see a lot of that. so obviously I don't know what, I'm not in their corner, so I don't know what their thought process is. But some coaches follow that book of analytics, or that's what it's called, right? Whatever that book is. I don't follow it. I don't read it. Don't listen to it. But some people do. Most of the time that book says go for it, because the book doesn't know the crowd, doesn't know the field, doesn't know a lot of things. So it just sees numbers. That could be part of what you're talking about. Maybe I don't know if Chris follows that book. I don't know if Kyle, I doubt Kyle does. But either way, that might be the answer.
Mike, the Big Ten and SEC are set to, discuss a scheduling format sometime next week. I know you're a college football deep thinker. What in your
College
mind,
football what?
deep thinker?
Oh, yeah.
I know. From your mind, from your perspective, what could that look like, and what could that mean for the sport, say, in the coming years and down the
So
road?
there's just a few things. It's a simple process. College football needs a commissioner, and if it's one of the four guys now, if it's the guy at SEC commissioner, I don't care. We need a commissioner, and then we need the Power 4 or Power 5, if we go back to it. Those commissioners are under them, and then we need a football oversight rules committee that's going to enforce whatever rules that we say there are, whether that is recruiting, NIL, salary cap, employment agreements, transfers, whatever those rules are. And they need to follow the NFL model. The NFL has been an ultra successful money-making machine over 50 years. And the reason why is because they have equality amongst the troops. So they have, 32 teams? They have salary caps, they have free agency, they have all the things that are in place to create equal, which allows the last place team to have the first draft and the Super Bowl champion to have the last draft. So they continue to have equal teams. So you might have a team in the NFL that wins 4 games, and the next year, if they get a good free agency trade, which is the portal we have, or they pick up a high round pick, they might win 10 games next year and make the playoffs. So people turn TVs on and they continue to watch it now all the time. That's what has to happen in college football. In my opinion, it's going to be driven by the commissioner of the SEC and the Big Ten, because they have the most money right now based on long-term television contracts. But that money's not going to matter if everything becomes one-dimensional, one-sided. If we get a bunch of teams that have all this money, and then we have the other 30 teams that have a moderate amount of money, then how many people on the West Coast and the East Coast who don't have teams playing in the playoffs anymore, and it's all the teams from the same 2 conferences maybe, and I know that a winner of Big 12 gets in, I get that, but you see what I'm saying. And then I live on the East Coast or the West Coast, and I never have a team in the playoffs, and so why do I watch that anymore? I don't care. There's no teams. I don't get to see anything. There's no equality amongst college football, and I turn the television off. Now we got a problem.
Above and beyond what he was saying, I thought about bringing this up to you on Friday in Manhattan when you guys arrived, and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
At that summit, the SEC and the Big Ten are talking about when the bowl agreements come up next year, they're only going to play each other in bowl games. They will not include the other 2 leagues.
Yeah, so it's a big picture. Like, I don't have enough time to go over all of it. I just gave you a short version of what I think should happen. Coach Brown at North Carolina, when he retires, Coach Saban, that's your football commissioner. That's Roger Goodell for us, in my opinion, because he knows what he's doing. He gets it. But in that situation, the reason that's being driven that way is because of money. So there is some thought based on the amount of money that's going to be spent, because we have no idea now, because she hasn't even gotten close to signing off on this agreement. And the plaintiffs, who are set to earn over $100 million, attorneys, haven't gotten close to signing an agreement. So that tells you, in my opinion, they're a long ways off. Most people that have the ability to earn hundreds of millions of dollars probably find a solution. So something's going on, okay? Those 2 conferences have more money than anybody based on television revenue. And money now for NIL can be funneled through the universities, correct? So when that happens, then there's going to be money funneled. 10 days ago, Georgia governor signed off and said the NCAA now has no legislation or no power over schools that are in the state of Georgia. If we want to pay our players through the school, we will pay our players through the school. Isn't that what he said? Yeah. Okay, so what does that mean?
Means in Georgia they're going to do whatever they want, and the NCAA has no control. Sounds like the college football community has no control over.
Well, they don't. Because in the United States of America, every state governs themselves. The federal government is not supposed to control state laws. Each state governs themselves. And so what they did is they stepped up and said, we're going to do what we want to do, and if we want to pay our players through our school and our money, we're going to pay our players. So that tells me that we're really close into heading that direction. It's already been started. There's schools that are doing it. But the point being, in the big picture of these meetings that you said, is that they're going to be the schools that are distributing the most revenue to players. So they feel like that they should compete against each other to a certain extent. And maybe that's true.
When you're done coaching, do you think that you'd ever want to get into, I guess, governing college
It'd be
football
hard
like
to
that?
find me when I'm done coaching. It won't be watching football at a game or any of that, or being a college football commissioner, because that's just but now I will say this, for the sake of the game, we're in a real dangerous predicament right now. And I hope somebody like, I probably need to text Coach Saban before I say this, but I hope somebody like that becomes a college football commissioner, because he understands the importance of equality, in my opinion, because he's a smart man that's been in it for a long time. But that's what we need. And we need to get it, and get it as fast as we can before we start to lose it and then try to recover back, a la NASCAR and LIV with PGA golf has become a mess because of that.
Mike, in your mind, could maybe a Big 12 ACC scheduling partnership help, or would that do anything?
I think all of that is bad for college football, because we need to, why change what we had 5 years ago? Now, I understand the portal. I understand NIL. I get all that. But let's just look at what we had, okay? Only thing that we've changed is the 12-team playoff, which everybody in the country is excited about, correct? Well, we like that, right? So if you're excited, you turn the TV on. The TV generates more money. But other than what we had, why should we start to take two conferences playing against each other all the time, and two conferences playing against each other all the time, when there should be some equality and everybody plays everybody? That's what the NFL does. And I can't imagine there's not a better footprint for success. I just read the other day, some organization, I don't know which one it was, in 2016 or 18, the guy bought the team for $3.3 billion. And now the team's worth $6.6 billion, and whatever team it was, they hadn't even won any games. And he's already doubled his money. That's a hell of an investment, and I'm not even a financial guy. That's what happens when you have a plan and you're disciplined and you say this is the way it's going to be. That's what we can do in college football if we just get the right people together.
What do you think about West Virginia?
And we play West Virginia this week. Y'all know that? You got to stop their quarterback. He's a good runner, very similar to what we saw last week. Coach Brown's done a good job with them. They've been in their games. Every game they've played, they've been very competitive in it. Penn State kind of took them over later, but not really. I mean, it was a very competitive game. Same coordinators, same defensive structure. Neal's, offense is the same as what it's been. This quarterback that's there has been here for I don't know how many years. I think he played against Rudolph. It's been forever. He's still there. I'm really excited. I told the team after the game, they all look at me like I had three heads, that I'm excited about today's walkthroughs. I told them I'm excited about Tuesday's practice, because I like things like this. I like things that are challenging. I like things that are intriguing. I really like the attitude of our team. They're acting like grown men for the most part. They're competing. They're playing with effort. So I get excited about today. I'm excited about tomorrow. And we need a good week of fundamental practice, and I'll be excited about playing West Virginia.
We talked back in Vegas about this first month of the season. You're playing two really good Big 12 teams. You're playing an SEC team. You're playing a FCS national champion. How do you feel like your team has kind of survived this first month with the bye week next week? Like how do you think they kind of fared through that?
So I texted with a couple of head coaches this morning, and they're also in what would be week 6 and going through August. It's not just 6 weeks, it's August. August is tough. And there's, in my opinion, most teams across the country, everybody's tired. So, but we're still playing Saturday at 3:05. Make a difference if we're tired. So we have to find a way to have a really good mental and physical practice throughout the week and get ready to play in a game. And then after that, I have to give them a chance to recover, both mentally and physically, give them a chance to get away, give the coaches a chance to get away so we can reprogram and get ready for the next one. It's really as simple as that.
Two things. Does it help that you're seeing an offense with a running quarterback and a 3-3-5 defense 2 weeks in a row? Because there are some similarities with K-State and with West Virginia. And does it bother you, because with the 2 byes on the schedule this year, this is the one time I think you faced somebody that had a bye when you played last week?
Yeah, you would. You guys come up with all these statistics. People send them to me, and I don't know what to make out of them. There's talk of, okay, if you're in a flow and then all of a sudden you stop and then you start again a week later. Some people think that doesn't work as good. Most people think that if you get a bye, you can recover. You should be fresh. And guys that are injured, you get guys back. You get an extra 4.5 days-ish game planning. So in most cases, their concepts in the first quarter and a half should look really good because they've had time has been their friend to get ready for this game. And then with the 2 open dates, it's a little unusual. I mean, I don't even have any idea when our next one is. But I'll be very honest with the team today at 1:30 and tell them, look, I understand you're tired. I get it. I know you're beat up. You're sore. I need you to focus. I need you to be very in tune mentally. I need good physical practice. And we get ready to play this game, then we'll worry about the next thing on the next thing.
What about the similarities? Is it just
Oh, yeah. They're playing more of an air guy, so they're playing some odd front. They play some 4 down also, more than what we saw up here. But they're odd front's an air guy that stands on the line most of the time, more like an NFL style defense. But there are similarities, yes, with what they do.
aren't they predominantly 1 and 4?
They'll play some 13% cover 1. They're playing majority, what would be kind of a cheat quarter halves deal to the field and to the boundary. Same stuff they've always done.
From a mental standpoint or physical standpoint, does the spot this team is in now feel similar to last year when y'all had the 2 losses? Sort of what this team needs to do?
That's a tough one. We do have 140 players and 76 employees, so it's difficult at times, even as good as I am, to engage and get a feel for everybody. Y'all didn't laugh. That was a joke. So I'm going to take a lot of heat over that shit, and y'all didn't think it was funny. Danielle's throwing up in her mouth. So anyway, these guys have been good. And part of the process in the culture that we have here is what we accept. And so the one thing I think that's important is that in a game, at the end of the game, whether we're not being flamboyant because we won the game or whether we're not trying to show disgust and anger because we lost the game, is that there needs to be a culture where we look and see, no matter what can we do to improve even if we win for the next game. And I think that's what we have here, and that's all we accept here. And for that reason, I think they're fine. I thought they were fine last year, and that's the reason why I think they're fine.
Can last year sort of be proof of concept of what a team can do?
It should never factor in, but I think it does. Because they think of everything. Because when I tell them to not read social media, they still read social media. So things work on their brain. Social media works on a certain part of your brain that you don't even know it about, and it's storing stuff in there and it messes with you. It does it to them too. So I think there's a lot of truth to that. In the back of their mind, like, yeah, we went through this last year. We're good. And whatever it takes them to get to that point, I'm good. I just need them to get to that point.
Mike, you've seen Garrett Green now for a while, as you mentioned. Have you seen his game evolve at all? Like, is he a guy that now maybe looks to throw when he's out of the pocket a little bit more than he did?
He's experience has helped him, and I'm guessing that the relationship he has with his play callers and position coach helps him they're further along now just from experience. And he's been good at rushing the ball, and they do a good job with that. And what you said is exactly right. You know, you've got to do a good job. I talked about this in here Monday, that we have to control the quarterback and keep him from flushing out and running around. I was right? Every time he got out, something bad happened. Now, guys that can really run and get out there, it's somewhat unrealistic to think you're going to control them all the time, but you certainly have to have a good idea about doing it most of the time because of the downfield throws, they take off and run, all the things that you're talking about.
Anything else?
Good? All right, guys. That was History Lesson 101.